Hello, class. Hope you are doing well. Dr. Latz here with a syllabus tour. So let's take a look at the syllabus together and see what we have going on this semester. Looking at page 1, we've got the general kind of normal syllabus page 1 stuff. I want to draw your attention to a couple things, however. First of which is that Mr. Dan Royer is going to be assisting with the course this summer, which is fantastic. As I'm sure you may have read in the welcome letter, Dan is very close to graduating from the program. He is a community college leadership major within the adult higher and community education doctoral program. He's ending his 5th and final year here at Ball State and has served as my doc assistant for the past 4 years. And I'm delighted for him to have the opportunity to work alongside us this summer. So let us welcome Dan. Got some other information here on page 1. Another one of interest would be Pinterest. I use Pinterest in a way that helps me kind of record the online resources that I use with each of my classes. So you can find not only things that are directly germane to the class that I've referenced in the syllabus, but some other references as well. So feel free to take a look. Moving on to the next page. Let's see here. Hold on, wait for it. All right, we've got our textbook. This is probably the most important thing on this page, page 2. Phenomenal book. I loved it. I think it's practical, it's accessible, it's easy to read. Probably one of the most impressive parts of this particular book is the fantastic questions and cases that they include at the end of nearly every chapter. As I was reading these, I thought, man, while I love to create my own discussion board questions, these are kind of too good to pass up. So we'll be engaging with those, and also kind of a laundry list of some important community college resources here. Alrighty, let's see, page 3. It's got our course description, learning objectives. You can kind of take a look at those on your own. One thing that I will draw your attention to, however, is the list of topics that we're going to be engaging in this summer. As many of you know, each summer we take a deep dive into some number of topics related to the community college leadership. And this particular summer, we're going to be taking a look at community college leadership in 2 state contexts. We're going to be talking to Dr. Sue Ellspermann, which I'm pumped about, as I hope you all are as well, president of Ivy Tech, and just going to be able to give us a fantastic look at being a leader of such a massive institution, and some really good insights from sort of a fresh newly appointed leader, which is going to be really interesting. We're also going to take a trip out to Edison Community College in Ohio and get some insights onto leadership in the Ohio context. Next, community colleges and mental health, very kind of hot topic right now. And then finally, state level policy oversight and accountability and government relations. We're going to be working with Sam Sneidman, who's a doc student in our program, higher ed major, and also director of government relations at Ball State. He's going to kind of lead us on that, which is going to be fantastic. We're going to get down to the State House, etc. All right, page 4. You can read this on your own. I think the most important message here is that with the randomness of the schedule, I definitely understand that some folks may not be able to come to all the sessions, but let's just communicate early and often and make sure that we have a good plan in place for you. So let me know ASAP if there are any issues with getting to any of the sessions. Page 5, pretty straightforward stuff. And for those of you who have had class with me before, most of this syllabus stuff doesn't change semester to semester. I update, but not huge wholesale changes. So take a look at this. And like I said, though, I think it's pretty straightforward. Page 6, similar. I start to get into some of the assignment parameters for the course, which again does not change in any appreciable way semester to semester. However, one new thing for this summer is I'm not going to be using rubrics for our course. I'm going to kind of take the perspective that every element of what we do this summer is really formative rather than summative. And when something does sort of emerge as being more summative, for example, your final projects, I'm going to turn over the assessment to you. So we'll see how this goes. I think it will be just fine. But we'll see. If you have any questions about that, don't hesitate to let me know. But we're going to kind of view, I kind of take the approach that if you do all of your assignments on time and according to the parameters that I set forward, you'll get all the points. So it's kind of, that's sort of the perspective that I'm bringing to it. I want you to do good, important work, but I also don't want you to get too hung up on what do I got to do to get an A type of stuff. So I'm trying to shift the focus onto the quality of the work rather than the earned grade. But again, if you have questions, just let me know. And now we're going to get into the assignments. So basically, two assignments that are rather kind of big and kind of complex, but I think I do a good job of breaking it down here. The usual discussion forums, we are in a blended course format right now. So we'll be meeting 5 times. That will be our face-to-face portion. And then obviously we've got some work to do online, which is really going to come in the form of these discussion forums. Initial posts and response posts due on different days. The forums are not preset, but I will try to do a good job of alerting you to when they are ready for your contributions. And again, for those of you who have had this course before, this is pretty straightforward. And I think we have, with the staggered due dates for the discussion forums. Your initial posts, by and large, will be due on Mondays, and then your responses will be due on Thursdays, except for a couple times when I think this week, we've got a initial post, due on Thursday, and then working around Memorial Day is a little bit weird as well. But anyways, the second sort of large chunk of the assignments is what I'm calling a course project. I would encourage you to print out the syllabus and give it a good read. I think I've made the components of this particular project pretty clear, but there's necessarily some ambiguity built in. But in any case, you essentially have a menu to select from. You can do what I'm calling the architect project, the developer project, the thinker project, or the researcher project. And each of these projects each and all of them have the same number of parts, and they're all the parts are worth the same amount of points, but each part sometimes varies project to project. So part 1 is a proposal. Tell me what you're going to do, why are you going to do it, and what do you think is going to be awesome and challenging. Part 2, like I mentioned, each discrete project has a different version of the part for part 2. Same with part 3. We're all going to be kind of engaging in the same thing for part 4. Again, part 5 kind of breaks out, and as you can see here, it's kind of like, okay, if you're doing this project, this is what you do. This project, this is what you do. And you get to pick which one you want to do, which I think is kind of fun. Part 6 again, various, 7, various, 8, various, and then we're gonna all create final products, but what those final products are really varies. So again, it's kind of spelled out for you option to option. And then we're going to kind of finish off the semester with our public performance assessment, where you're going to bring some sort of artifacts to share with folks and explain what you did. This is a lot on the very first day. So what I'll try to do week to week is maybe do some videos or some emails that really kind of explain and break it down. But if you have questions, don't hesitate to let me know at the outset here. Grading. This, not really applicable. 685 points possible, breaks it down, grading scale, again, pretty straightforward. This is our face-to-face class schedule, which many of you have seen for a long time. One thing to note is that what I found last summer when we were doing site visits is that students really wanted to provide their own transportation. And I'm going to kind of move from that perspective and kind of wait for you to tell me otherwise. I can get a university vehicle and provide us with transportation, but for many of you, that would mean coming to Muncie, and you don't necessarily live here. So I don't know. It just seemed as though, you know, last summer students were fine with kind of doing their own thing and meeting up at the various locations, and I'm going to kind of move forward with that assumption. But if I am wrong, let me know, because we've got to move quickly in order for me to reserve a vehicle and to have everybody fill out travel authorizations. So do be in touch. But like I said, I'm just going to assume we're all going to get there on our own. But anyways, here's the face-to-face class schedule. We've got 5 meetings. We are going to be meeting with some fantastic folks and having some really interesting opportunities this summer. So I am pumped to get to experience these folks and these places with you as well. Course calendar, pretty typical LAT style calendar. We've got the date and time, whether or not we're meeting in person, what we're doing, what's due on that particular day, and then what's due the next day. And hopefully these all match up. This is usually the part of the semester where I find all the typos in my syllabus. So far, we're doing pretty good. Again, I think this is pretty straightforward. Our due dates are Monday and Thursday. Try to keep that pretty, well, not pretty consistent, absolutely consistent the entire way through. We've got periodic discussion forums, a total of 6 of those. And then the course project has 10 parts, and you basically have 1 part due per week. So that's kind of easy to remember and think through, and they're all due on Thursdays. So that is that. And then we've got the reading calendar, and you'll see that it's kind of small. There's not we're not doing a ton of reading this particular summer semester, and a couple of reasons for that. One, the book is just, I think, fantastic, and I really want us to focus on that. And 2, you'll notice up here that additional readings are gonna pop up in the discussion forums. So if I feel like we need to augment or get prepared for any of our sessions in particular, that's where those will arrive. And then sometimes what happens is our guest speakers will say, hey, can you have students take a look at this before we do our session? So that's that. Just keep that in mind, that those might pop up. But this is the calendar for reading. The other thing that's a little weird is that we're going to be reading the text out of order, and that's because of the guest speakers we're going to be encountering early on in the semester, as well as the site visit that we do to the State House. So I kind of want to get you ready for that by reading this book a little bit out of order, which I don't think is going to be too disorienting or anything like that. So this randomness is definitely on purpose, so keep that in mind. Then lots of writing notes. I would encourage you to just kind of take a look at that. This is sort of what I'm thinking when I'm looking at your stuff, your papers and whatnot. So that's 2 pages, and then this is my lovely sort of contemporary obsession here, Linda Berry and her book Syllabus, and this particular page I think is just fantastic. Really kind of gets at this notion of taking time for your work and deeply engaging with it, etc. All right, well, that's it for the syllabus tour. If you have any questions, let me know.